someone that has gone through trauma and grief, it might completely paralyze someone. Sometimes we assume someone's just not social because they're just like, oh, you just go to work and go home. Like, you never know what people have dealt with.
What's up, YouTube fam? This is your girl, Lauren Denise, host of This Too Shall Suck podcast, a fresh perspective on grief, back with another episode. So in this episode, we're going to be diving into the effects that grief has on the body. And even when you get into a place where you look at your body and can cause a type of grief. And so I'm bringing on my trainer. I am starting a 90-day, or actually started a 90-day transformation program. So I'm bringing on my trainer to be talking about the effects that it can have on your body, what can happen if you look at yourself in the mirror, what type of grief that can cause, and how important the mental is when it comes to transformation, whether it's losing weight, gaining weight, or just deciding, I just want to change where I'm at in life and how important that is. So if you are thinking about, listen, the way that I look at myself in the mirror, this grief has affected me crazy, definitely need to listen. If you're thinking about transforming in any type of way, like I said, whether it's gaining weight, losing weight, really the biggest thing is mentally. Make sure you are listening to this episode. Take some notes. As always, let me know in the comments your favorite part, and I cannot wait to meet you guys there so we can talk about it. I hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome back, my loves, to another week's episode of This Too Shall Suck podcast, a fresh perspective on grief. I'm super excited to have you here. If this is your first time, what's up? What is going on? And you know, if you've been rocking with me for 4 seasons, you know I love you. I love you if you just here. I just love you. So thank you. Thank you so much for being here. On this week's episode, we're going to be diving into the effects that grief can have on your body. And not only that, just looking at yourself, you know how you can look at yourself in the mirror one day and not recognizing yourself, what type of grief that can cause. I think we don't give enough energy to that. I think we know that grief obviously has some effects on your body, right? Just from science and feelings. But let's talk about really when you look at yourself in the mirror and you don't recognize yourself, not even like from a gaining weight and maybe losing weight or just losing hair or whatever. Like, let's talk about that and that type of grief that can cause. And so I have a special guest on. I actually have my trainer. So if you've been following me on social media, follow me at This Too Shall Suck podcast plug. But if you are following me on social media, then you know that I just recently started a 90-day transformation program, and I have a trainer. And what I love about him is that when he calls it a transformation, he's not just talking about just like the weight that you'll lose or the weight that you'll gain. It's like really more of a whole mental uh and physical transformation. And so I told him I really wanted him on to really talk about not only the grief that he's experienced and what kind of got him into the field, but also the effects that obviously grief can have in your body, what that can look like if you look in the mirror, what type of grief that can cause. And so the conversation just is really good. And we even got into some entrepreneurship tips. So it was just a really good conversation. So I cannot wait for you all to hear. But again, y'all know if you've been rocking with me, you know I love to come with just a little bit of knowledge to give you before we go into the interview. And so I wanted to really, I can kind of come up with what I know happened to me with grief and not really processing and healing from the trauma, right? Whether it's gaining weight or being depressed and things like that. But I wanted to come to you guys with just some research that I found. And so I found on, and I'll drop it in the show notes. So I got y'all. But I found on the website is called goodtherapy.org, and it talks about just 6 physical effects that happen during your grieving process. And this is, again, this is not all inclusive of everything that grief can do. Obviously, and there's many articles. This is just one that I found, but I'll definitely make sure to put it in the show notes. So 6 things or 6 physical effects that grief can have on the body is it can cause heart problems. It can cause different type of heart problems. One study found the death of a loved one to increase a person's chance of having a heart attack. You always hear the phrase that people die of of heartache or what is it, heartbreak or something like that. It's because that depression and that stress that you're causing on your heart can cause you to have heart problems or a heart attack. And so that's definitely one of them. The second thing is lowered immunity. And I've heard this before as well, that any type of stress, any type of again, depression, anxiety, anything like that can cause your immune system to lower. And so, because if you're grieving a long time, that causes a lot of stress on your body. It causes a lot of anxiety. It can cause depression and cause all of these things. And so, it has said in a study that older adults who experience grief um, maintain a stress hormone balance that causes their immune system to lower. So, that's really, really something that I have heard. And I did get sick a lot when I was really kind of in the heavy part of grief, especially after my dad died. I think I told you guys I had to go to the hospital because of that. Um, the third thing, body aches and pains. Woo! Listen, sis be out here aching and aching and paining. Okay. But no, for real though. It says grief can cause back pain, joint pain, headaches, and stiffness. This pain is caused by the overwhelming amount of stress hormones being released during the grieving process. So, again, it goes back to those stress hormones. And as we all know, grief causes a lot of stress in your mind. It also can cause digestive issues, which because grief inspires these symptoms in others such as loss of appetite, binge eating, nausea, and irritable bowel syndrome. Because a lot of people seek food, which is something that we talked about during the interview as well, is that a lot of people seek the comfort of food in order to help cope with their grieving, right? Instead of looking for healthier mechanisms, going to talk to somebody, they look for that. And so it can definitely cause an immense amount of stress on your digestive system. Number 5. So this is interesting because I feel like all of these are it, but it says unhealthy coping mechanisms, which I feel like the unhealthy coping mechanisms are what's going to cause the physical effect on your body. And so when I say unhealthy, because y'all know I always say there's no right and wrong way to grieve. There is healthy and unhealthy. There's definitely no right and wrong way. So unhealthy coping mechanisms could be alcohol, drugs, um, high risk behaviors that. So this says, self harming is one of them. Drug use, high risk behaviors have long lasting effects on the body and brain. So, I mean, I get it, I guess. But so any unhealthy coping mechanisms could obviously cause physical effects on your body. So again, for me, like alcohol was really a big one for me. I didn't do drugs, but I've heard people who did drugs. Um, you know, Sex is actually one of them. Like if you're having a lot of sex, especially unprotected, what that can bring in. So that is definitely one of them. And then the sixth thing is sleep problems and fatigue. So when my dad passed, I didn't sleep. I think I told you guys for 48 hours after that, because I was just going and just moving and moving and moving. And then my body was like, all right, girl, and even still, I think I slept maybe 3 hours after I didn't sleep for 48 hours and just kept moving. And so it does cause a lot of sleep problems, and then fatigue because you're just like, you have insomnia. You don't want to sleep because maybe you're dreaming of whatever the loss is, or you're really struggling, or you feel sad or anxious or exhausted. And so you're just always tired. And so those are the six things or the six physical effects that grief can have in your body. But of course, we know there are way, way more than that. That was just a few of them. But I did want to at least kind of start with that before we got into the interview. And again, we talk about so much. It was just a good interview. And me and J.Lopez, this is his name, we be cracking up. Okay. So, like, let me just be very clear on that. Then when you hear this interview, we're probably going to be laughing a lot. Probably gonna be like, what? But, it's just part of the grieving journey. If you know me long enough, that's just, kind of a way to be able to show you guys that there is a beautiful side and a lighter side of it. So I'm really, really excited for you all to get into it. I can't wait for you guys to hear our conversation. I'm going to get into this break because we're going to pay these bills. Okay, honey? And we will be right back. J.Lopez is the #1 online body transformation coach for entrepreneurs who want to hit their body goals in 90 days or less. In 2017, J.Lopez quit his job at a multi-billion-dollar commercial gym and started his own gym out of his garage. His clients dubbed him the trainer god because of his ability to consistently help them achieve body transformations in miraculously short periods of time. In 2018, he transitioned his business to an online model and started several entrepreneurial endeavors, which included the 90-day body transformations trademarked program. In 20
Facts.
in 2019, he hit six figures in sales and solidified his position as the number one body transformation coach for female entrepreneurs looking to hit their body goals in 90 days or less. In 2020, he grew his business and launched the School of Trainer, an online educational program for trainers and fitness professionals that teaches them how to build and grow successful online businesses. He is also a sought after speaker and mentor and continues to expand his portfolio with enterprise and affiliate partnerships and initiatives. So, without further ado, I'd like to welcome my trainer to the building, J.Lopez.
And look, I kind of felt like the guest pastor when he's sitting there.
Right,
When he's
right.
sitting there, they read. I was sitting there like, okay, read it
Hey,
out
who is
to
that?
this.
Is that me? That's me? Okay, I see
I
you.
like that.
No, thank you for being on.
Just a whole mean.
It's it whole
I
me.
appreciate
Whole
it.
me. We gonna try not to
I
act a fool, but
appreciate
I can't make no promises to y'all because
it.
that's
Look,
the
it's
homie.
all good.
It's the homie. Like he's
Yeah, we
helping me with the
self-employed. We can do what
right.
we want.
Okay, you know what I'm saying? This is my show. I do what I want to do.
Who go check us? Who go check us? Right?
Right. Exactly, exactly. So I'm just super hyped to have you on here. I was telling them before, like, just my journey with grief and how it affected my body and how I looked in the mirror one day and how that caused a whole nother grief. So I knew it was important to bring you on because you have your own story with grief, how it affected your body, and now how
Mhm.
you're out here helping entrepreneurs like get out of that space and be able to like be their best self. So I'm just super, super grateful to have you on. So my first question to you, J. Lopez. For
Let's
those
hear
who
it. What you
don't
got?
know, for those who don't know you and know your story, I feel like people see Trainer God, but they don't know J. Lopez, right? So, like, what is your story
Mm.
with grief and how that kind of affected your body, and how it brought you into, the Trainer God world that you're in now?
Man. So, cha- grief and trauma has been a part of my life since like literally like the earliest memories I have of childhood is like trauma,
Mm,
right? So,
mm,
um, all the way up until elementary, middle school, high school, like everything was trauma, and if it wasn't physical abuse, it was verbal abuse. Leading all the way up to like high school graduation. The Navy was my outlet. Graduating high school, joining the Navy was like my outlet for a minute, and then that kind of brought me like full circle with separation anxiety when I left the military. That led me to alcohol and
mm.
anxiety attacks. Fast forward, just really just being in a. I think I just hit a point where I was just like kind of tired, and I decided to take a leap. So yeah, I took that leap into entrepreneurship, and here I am. So
Yeah. Well, and you doing it, Trainer God. You doing it.
thank you,
Do you
thank
feel
you.
like that? Do you feel, you like you said you dove into kind of, alcohol and, other outlets, anxiety and stress. We can talk about and we'll talk about that. We'll get into
Mhm.
it. But do you feel like that had a major effect on your body and you were kind of like, you know what, like I want to get out of this? Like what made you want to get out of it? Was it therapy? Was it like you looked in the mirror one day? Like what made you take like what was that switch that went off in your head? It was like I got to do better.
I think I always wanted to do, like, I always felt like I had a bigger purpose. I always felt like I was not like a lot of the people around me, even growing up in my neighborhood and things like that. But I just think being in those moments of pressure, those moments of having anxiety and a low self esteem, reaching for the alcohol was like a lot easier, more comforting than not reaching for it.
Mm,
That's really, yeah, that's really what it was. So the anxiety, just the anxiety, the alcohol abuse, all of that. Like I wasn't always in shape, and people assume because I told them I was in the Navy that I wasn't in shape in the Navy, like mentally or
mm.
physically.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, but what really made me want to make that change was just thinking about my mom. Really, just want to be a better example for my mom, just to show her, because she passed away when I was 13, wanting to
Mm,
just show her that a lot of the stuff that she went through prior to her passing wasn't really like done in vain. So I've always wanted to do better for myself. It's just when life is throwing things at you and you're having to deal with anxiety and depression and these things, you know, no, you don't have anybody around to educate you on what it is while you're going through it. You don't have the therapist, the counselor, the coach, the mentor. It's just you and the pressure. It's just like, man, you deal with it the best way that you can. So
Mm, yeah. So you always knew, but I always think about, like you said, you this was from younger. Not even, I would assume it was before like your mom passed. Do you feel like your mom passed, because obviously, my parents passed as well, so we can unfortunately relate on that. But do you feel like that was, whether it was a big trigger or not, do you feel like when those things happen like that for people, do you feel like it's just, you hear the people who do go to the alcohol. I used alcohol, I use drugs, I use all these other things. But then you have the people who do the opposite. They go and like bury themselves in the gym and they work out 50 hours a week. I can't imagine. I don't want to say that's not healthy, but like,
mm,
is that a healthier way to do it if they're in there losing all this weight, doing all this
I
stuff?
did
Like,
it.
have you seen that? Oh, that
I
was
did it.
you. Mm,
I did it. I became that guy. I became that guy. I became that person. And yeah, I still feel like I'm that guy. Don't get me wrong. Like I have two amazing shout out to my counselors. Okay,
shout
shout out to
out.
them. But yeah, before when I was like trying to, work my way through this whole entrepreneurship thing and I didn't have the finances to invest into the coach and the therapist and all of that. Like
Right.
all I had was me and the one thing I found comfort in. And I found comfort in the gym. I found comfort in this place that I could go and just tune out everything. I could tune out the world. I can tune out the drama. I could tune it all out. Entering the gym was just like it still is. It's my getaway. It's my place of comfort. I don't think that's ever going to change. And it is it healthy to just do that? No, because I realized that by just going to the gym, it wasn't. At one point, I was like, "Oh, this is all I need to do. Going to the gym is my therapy.
Right.
Going to the
Right.
gym, working out, lifting the weights, doing the cardio. This is it. I come in here and I
Right.
take out my aggression on these weights, and I'm good to go. This is all I'm going to. This is all the therapy I'm gonna need. Shoot, what's the gym membership? 30 a month. Oh, I could do this. This is
I
the
could.
cheapest therapy
I don't need to
ever.
go talk to nobody.
Easy.
Talking to these weights.
Now I ain't gonna talk. Yeah, I ain't talking. That's just me. These wasting this Eric Thomas. He talking to me. And cool, I'm getting it together in here. But you realize, you realize that fast forward. This is when it. So this is a couple things. There's a couple things that transpired to make me realize that the gym and the success had like it was doing nothing for the trauma. This is when I realized
Mm,
that. So I got into a physical altercation with like my brother, right? And this was like after the magazine interviews, after a couple magazine interviews. This was after the first 10K month. This was after going from broke to like okay, making some money and went viral a couple times. You got people
right.
hitting your line. This was after that, and you like, oh,
Mm,
I'm on the up and up. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I ain't got to go back to I ain't got to be around the hood relatives. None of that, right?
right.
Well, I found I found myself around these people because they're still my family,
Right.
and yeah, just the when people are not happy with themselves and not happy with their lives, man, they're gonna do anything that they can to trigger you. And me and my
Mm,
brother, we have a better relationship. It's definitely not perfect, but we do have a better, more respectful relationship. I would say that's really just because of me and how my boundaries, right? But at the time, I didn't have those boundaries. I wasn't,
of course.
aware of the importance of doing that.
Yeah.
And we got into a physical altercation one night, and I was so upset with myself. I was so upset because I allowed somebody to just pull me out of character. That's what I was upset. I wasn't. I mean, I knew what the back and forth, which was minor, which was not important at all. It was not worth fighting over, right?
Yeah.
But with him having alcohol in his system at the time, it led to that. But I was so disappointed in myself,
Mm,
and that mixed with one funny thing. So I'm a big fan of actors and actresses. Like it's a major motivation for me as a trainer. I follow a lot of. I love that actors, have to get in shape in a short period of time for the movie roles. So I like to watch those things. I was watching Michael B. Jordan one time, and he was saying that he had to go to counseling after he played Killmonger.
I believe it. I
And
believe that.
yeah, when so I'm watching, I'm like, bro had to go to counseling after studying for one role. If he had to go to counseling just because he studied to play a role of someone for probably a good year or more, I was like, man, just imagine. Maybe you do need to go to counseling. Like maybe you do need just
That's
hearing it
real.
from him at
Yeah.
that time. Yeah. So and that was my first time. That is when just hearing him say that, I acknowledge, like, hey, you know what? If this guy needed to go to counseling, an actor needed to go to counseling because he studied to play a role for like a year or whatever, you definitely need to go. And then when I got into the altercation with my brother, that's when I realized the gym, doing the physical stuff, it I have transformed as a coach by going to therapy and counseling, and I'm here to tell people the physical stuff is fine. You can get a banging body, but that's not going to make you happy if you don't like do the inner work.
Mm.
So yeah.
Ooh, that's them bars. Did y'all hear that? This is a trainer who has transformed
Yeah.
so many people physically and
Mm-hmm.
mentally as well. Because even when I started his program, I think when we had our consultation, he was like, okay, well, tell me, about your goals. And I'm like, well, it's not about the weight. And he was like, cool, cool. But like, tell me like mentally what's your goals. And I was like, I'm sorry. Because like I've worked with several trainers before and they're always like, tell me your goals. I'm like, oh, I want to lose 30 pounds. And like, okay, cool. Here's your meal plan. Here's this. I've never had one ask me like mentally, where do you want to be at the end of these 90 days? And I think for me, that was transformative in itself, even before I started the program. Because this is someone who like is like, cool, that's great. Yeah, you want to lose weight? I'll send you the meal plan. I'll send you all that. Like that's gonna happen naturally if you just follow the plan. But like mentally, at the end of this 90 days, you can have the banging body, but if you're in the same place mentally, what is that gonna do? What is that gonna do? You're not gonna grow. And so
Yeah.
listen to what he's saying. I'm telling you this from experience. I
Yeah.
think I'm 3 weeks in.
I see it all the time. I see it all the time. Like and not to, hey, whatever personal trainers listening to this, wherever you are in your journey as a trainer, if you're out here changing someone's lives, even if it's just the physical, look, I salute you, because we are important. But I'm just saying that in my life's journey, and like what God put in place in my life, it just led me to discover that it's not just the physical stuff. Like, don't get
Mm,
me wrong, I love working out. I love to stay in shape. I love being confident. But I look in the mirror now and see that I'm in shape. But I look in the mirror now and see that I'm in shape, and I'm happy because I
mm,
know that I've gone through the mental. Like, I'm making the mental shift as well. I'm doing the very uncomfortable things. I'm having uncomfortable conversations with my counselors, like very uncomfortable conversations, and yeah. So now I sleep better at night knowing that I am taking 100% responsibility for my past, taking 100% responsibility for it. I'm not looking for, and that whole forgiveness thing. Like, I had two counselors back to back try to explain that to me. They tried to explain forgiveness. I was like, bro, I'm not. What you want me? You want me to what? You want me
it's,
to?
it's gonna be a no for me.
You want me to what? You want me to? No, but yeah, right. So, but I will say, the doing the mental work, it's counseling, therapy, the mindset coaching, all that. It's just as uncomfortable for me as someone that is physically overweight that decides to hire a trainer and wants to get in shape. They're
Mm,
uncomfortable having to, eat healthy. They're uncomfortable doing not even the push up. They're uncomfortable doing the squats or the power walk. They're short winded. They're uncomfortable. That is what therapy and counseling is for me. Every session is like mentally very uncomfortable, literally exhausted after an hour conversation of having to, like, I call it diving, like having to dive deep into something that I experienced like years ago. And then once you dive deep into that, you start remembering other stuff. It's just like, man. So I salute, I salute you for, hey, you working on yourself mentally, right? You doing the mental work as well. So yeah.
yeah, I love it. I love it. So let's talk a little bit about the effects of grief
Okay.
and what it can do to the body, yada yada. You know,
Mhm.
not even necessarily like scientifically we know like obviously what it can do to the body, but well, maybe it is from a scientific perspective. What have you seen from clients who you worked with who maybe, and again, it doesn't have to be grief of losing someone, but grief of losing a job, getting into the entrepreneurship world is a grief within itself if you don't really,
Mhm.
know what you're doing and it's hard. What have you seen, how it can affect the body in any clients that you may have had or somebody who may work with you in the future?
So it still comes, even though it's, to me, in my opinion, it still comes down to the mental
Hmm.
ties into the physical. So when someone
Absolutely.
experiences, when someone so even me at one point, I remember my first time experiencing depression.
Mm.
I remember my first time experiencing, I didn't know that I was going through depression, but that's what I was going through. And a couple years ago, when my son was first born, me and his mom did not have a great relationship. I can look back and laugh at it. Did not, no shade.
Right.
Because I know somebody
Growth.
from North Carolina listening, okay?
The growth.
if you know my if you know my son's mom, it's cool. Okay. But
It's the growth.
no, like, yeah, so at one point, like, man, we had the typical drama of like,
Baby mama,
and
baby daddy.
someone out of
Mm.
anger, yeah. And I drove to see at the time I drove to see who I thought was gonna be my son at the time, which he ended up being my son. Okay, but at the time I didn't know. I'm taking this drive. Look, y'all gonna love my book. So
I can't wait because
I
it's gonna be
took this
hilarious.
drive. I took this drive to North Carolina, man, and to walk into a hospital room and hold like a little human being, like a little baby, and
Mm.
realize that he's yours. I'm like, I held him. I still remember holding him. It don't fit on my left arm, and I'm like, man, like, look what you did. You bought a whole, like, bro, like, you're
Whole human.
responsible for, like, it was a shift for me. It was a major shift for me. Like, I realized, like, look, this is you right here. You have to
Mm.
take care of him right now. It's no turning away, no nothing. Like, he needs you. You got to do everything you need to do right now to make it so that you can give him everything, because he didn't ask to be here, right? So luckily I was in a mental space to just have that integrity and really step up to everything, right? And I left North Carolina, and that's when the drama started because of financial stuff. Like,
Mm.
my son's mom, she lived with her parents. Cool. Me, I'm on my own,
Right.
and I don't think she understood it at the time, and that led to the back and forth. And being told that you'll never see your son, being told
Mm.
that, and I'm pretty sure that someone watching, maybe you've said it to someone. Like, I don't think my son's mom knows. Now she knows, but I don't think she knew back then how much that was affecting me when she said that out of anger, right?
Mm.
And I just remember waking up the next morning and I could not move. Like, I couldn't
Mm.
physically move. I didn't, I remember waking up and I couldn't move. I couldn't get out of bed. I was like, what is wrong?
Wow.
Like, I don't want to go to work today. I don't want to go to school. I didn't care. I'm like, yo, what is this? And I'm just
Yeah.
laying there, and that happened. That was a 3 day thing. That happened for 3 days. 3 days. I didn't. I mean, I remember being sick some days, and I didn't have to go, stay in my bed for 3 days. Like, and I
Right.
remember my class instructor contacted me. My class instructor, he's like, "Hey, I haven't seen you in, didn't come into school," and I'm like, don't judge me right now, but like, I don't know what's wrong with me, but I'm like, I can't. I called off of work and everything. He's like, "Well, what's going on?" I explained to him. He's like, "Yeah, you're depressed." I was like,
Mm.
"Oh, this is what depression is." Okay, like, yeah, this sucks.
Yeah, right. I don't like
this
this. I don't want it. I don't
this
want it.
sucks.
I
Like,
don't want it.
yeah, and I said, "What do I do? Like, do you is there a shot you can take for this, or how do we cut this stuff off so I can, like, get
Is there
back
some
to
antibiotics that I can take or
responsibilities here? Because I'm
something?
about to lose my job, bro."
Right, right.
he's like, he's just like, "Man, you got to do what's best for you right now. Like, I know there's a situation going on, And right then, I really just resorted back to what I knew, which was like operating in this space of no emotion. So I
Mm,
became, in that moment, I became emotionless, like
mm,
emotion, cut off all of my emotion. And me and my son's mom had this talk. I've explained to her what I felt, and she takes responsibility for me and my son's relationship right now. We're working on bonding, but I'm just saying all of that to say, look at what that trauma in that moment did to me physically. It literally
mm.
prevented me from even moving.
Yeah.
So someone that someone that has gone through trauma and grief, it might completely paralyze someone where they don't want to physically you got those people who just like, sometimes we assume someone's just not social because they're just like, oh, you just go to work and go home. Like, you never know what people have dealt with. So me becoming a coach now, when I see someone that is like overweight or even obese, I don't look at them like, oh, look at that person. No, like, I understand you never know what someone has gone through to get in that position, right? So grief can take a toll on your body. It can literally make you gain weight. People have died because of stress,
Mm.
died because of stress and depression. So I can just imagine what someone who is like going through stress and depression and has not, died. They're still physically here fighting to remain and get through whatever situation they're going through. Yeah, it's going to take a toll on the body. And I totally understand that. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, that's good. That's good. And I think I had spoken on that before of like, people will see something and assume, but you don't ask the question. Like you said, you don't know what this person's been through. Like, some people are just overweight because, they just like to eat McDonald's and cheeseburgers and things like that, But I also
Mhm.
think that everybody has also had something that happened. Whether it is big or small in your eyes, it created something for them to maybe want to eat like that. So I think that is awesome that you, as someone who is trying to help people like physically and mentally be better, to say like, okay, well, this person's overweight. I don't really know what happened. Maybe I'll ask them what happened, but I know from my own experience, and I think that's what makes you a good trainer is because you've had your own experience within it. I always think the best teachers are the ones who have been through it and have done
Definitely.
done the work, you know what I mean, and have went through those experiences. So that's awesome. So another thing that I was thinking about, grief is funny because like, okay, cool, like, we address that anything can happen, you can be depressed, you can gain weight, all these things. But what happens when you look in the mirror one day and you don't recognize yourself, whether it's being overweight or being, you've lost a lot of weight? Like, the grief that comes with that is you look in the mirror and say, yo, when I was in high school, I was a pop, pop, pop. You know what I'm saying? I was a brick house. Now I am the whole building. So, like,
Yeah.
what type of
Yeah.
toll does that take on your mental and even physical too? I feel like that can trigger. It's like, well, fuck it, I'm gonna just keep eating. You know what I mean?
Shocking. It's shocking. I have, man, I just said this earlier on the coaching that I was doing. I explained to people, like, I'm at a point now where I cannot lower my vibrations to
Mm,
coach anyone. Like, I just did a coaching for a few people that joined a fitness challenge of mine. And on the fitness challenge, it's just like, okay, I made a meal plan, training plan, cool, here you go. And I still ended up doing mindset coaching to even these people that joined my fitness challenge. And before I got into the mindset coaching, I had to tell them, like, hey, listen, I'm about to get into something right now, but I just want to let everybody on this call know I have to, because I'm at a point now where I cannot lower my vibe to coach anyone. I just can't. And what I realize is that when you get in this space and you put on this weight and it shocks you, it hits you, it's it's like you walk around, it's like you're getting beat down, and then when you really have to look in the mirror, it's like getting knocked out again. I remember one time doing a consultation with someone. Someone contacted me for a consultation. At the time, I had my private gym. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll schedule you for this time. She came by, pulled up. Hey, how's it going? Came and had a seat. So I'm just like going with the flow, typical consultation. And I
Right.
turn around to go grab a notebook, and I'm like, so what's your weight? Say how much you weigh? Bawling, crying, just bust out crying, like
Oh.
just like I'm in like a good mood right now. Just and I'll just like pause it, like
It's like, well,
nah,
that changed.
look,
That
I've dealt,
escalated quickly.
I've seen it all, done it all, right? So I was just like, what's wrong? Like, are you good? And we just started getting like, but listen, this is person. This is real personal training, right? Some people are just like, oh, I need a meal plan to work out. Like, okay, that may be you. Y'all don't know how hard this is. It's exhausting being a real body transformation coach. It's exhausting. It's
Mm,
taxing. So she's crying. I'm like, okay, all right. Well, let me put the notebook up because clearly that's not a good move.
we are
And
not
I
about to
pull
have
up a
that
chair. I'm like,
conversation.
yeah. I'm just like, hey, are you everything okay? And she just, yeah. When you asked about my weight, it just, it, I really had to think about it, and it made me think about
Mm,
everything I've been dealing with that made me gain it. I'm like, okay, all right. And that was just one of many times that it's hard, man. It's hard for people that used to be in shape in high school or college, and they're sitting in front of you 100 pounds plus, and in their mind, they're like, man, how did I get to this space, and how am I going to get back to there? It's hard, man. It's so hard, and I trust. There's nothing else I can say about that. It's just hard.
it's hard.
But in those moments, I'm glad that they're in my presence because someone like me is just going to be, let them know, like, listen, I know right now you may feel like you're in a space right now that you can never come back from, but I just want you to understand that, listen, body fat will go, it will burn. You can burn body fat, but do you want to do what it takes consistently to make that happen? That's the question. It's like having to climb up out of this physical mental space. I've gotten out of shape 2020 alone. I got out of shape six
Mm,
times in 2020.
6.
And one of them was I caught COVID one of those times, and I lost 12 pounds of muscle. I caught COVID, so I had a mental breakdown right around this time. Had a mental breakdown, and
Mm,
then had a mental breakdown. Shut my business down for like 2 to 3 weeks. Nobody knew, and then right after that, I caught COVID, which put me out like another 2 to 3 weeks. So I lost like 12 pounds of muscle. When I went back to my coach, he was just like, bro, you've lost. Like, he's like, man, you look like crap. And your workout today, you were like weak. I was just like, I
mm.
know. But I said, give me the plan, bro. Give me the plan. What's the plan?
Right.
So but I have to hear it all the time. And I really do, empathize with anybody that is at any weight and they're having to like look back at where they used to be. It's very
Mm.
hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Trust me. Because I definitely looked in the mirror one day and I was like, who is that? Like, literally looked at myself and was
Mm-hmm.
like, who is that? And just the
Mm-hmm.
the moment of grief that it caused to say, oh my God, like you let yourself get here because of all of the trauma that you use food or substances or insert whatever to
Mm-hmm.
help cope and you didn't manage or process it. So yeah, it's so for all of those who are trying to gain weight, he didn't leave y'all out because I know y'all probably like, excuse me, I'm trying to
Oh no,
gain weight.
I can't look. Yeah,
He said
yeah.
he said he was trying to gain his 12 muscles back.
Listen, it's just as challenging for all of the females that I'm trying to put on. I'm trying to get big. Guess what? It's just as hard for y'all to get thick as it is for someone to gain. It's literally the same. It's no different. Some people
Mm,
reach out like it's going to be easier. Like, oh, hey, I just want to like, yeah, you just want to go through something challenging because it's going to take just as
mm.
much work. But
That's
no,
interesting.
like
Mm.
it's shocking. It's shocking. I remember a few times, even looking back, sometimes I look at the pictures of me back in when I knew I was drinking, and those photos of me, I'm just like, bro, thank God. Like, thank God. I was not always in shape. I remember having the chubby face and drink. Man, I remember the alcohol store runs. I remember those alcohol store. Look, when the guy at the store knows you, he already knows what you're getting. It's a problem.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a
I would
problem.
say so.
It's a problem. When you know the exact price of like the bottle you get in, it's a problem. Like tax and all. Like yeah.
Not tax and all. I would say so, but
Tax and all.
not
I,
tax and all.
yeah.
Wait a
I
minute,
remember those
sir.
days.
Hey, J.Lopez, how you doing?
Yeah.
Sir.
Yeah, 24.93 for this one. Yeah, I already know.
Not 93. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
You probably got your debit card number memorized. You ain't even got to pull it out no more. Oh, I got it in the system. Don't worry about it.
Look, memory lane.
Oh, that is funny.
Memory lane.
That is funny. But listen, I get it because Shawty was woo.
Mm-hmm.
Right after my dad died, I had to go to the hospital because I was drinking so much. I had like the lining in my stomach had like thinned out so much from alcohol consumption. They were like, "Do you need to talk to a counselor?" I was like, "No, my dad just died," but I needed to talk to a counselor. Clearly, clearly had to go to therapy. So there's that.
Man, yeah.
Therapy saves lives. You hear that? Therapy saves lives, guys.
Very uncomfortable, but very needed.
Very uncomfortable. Very, very uncomfortable. I want you to share some tips, as the trainer God himself, for those people who are listening who are like, okay, well, that sounds good, but like, how do I get started losing this weight? Like, do I just get up and go walk? Like, what does that look like? Obviously you can't give them their own meal plan, but what are just some suggestions you have for somebody who's either trying to lose weight or gain weight?
Lauren trying to get me to give y'all the game. I'm just playing.
Not the game, not all of it, okay? Because I got something special for that. Actually, I already shared that with y'all during the ad. So, anyways, go ahead.
So here's the truth that maybe not a lot of, because I listen to, sometimes I'll see personal trainers on this person's show or that, like, and they all like do this. It's just like, hey, okay, these vegetables are good for that, and you want to make sure that you're getting your proteins in. Like, listen, I'll be honest, I could look. It's to say, look, it's just, and I love those types of environments. I love when someone invites me to their event to give. I mean, I literally just gave a nutrition consultation to a client of mine. Like, I love talking meal prep and all this and that. But the reason why I love doing it for clients or someone that's hired me is like they've invested. They've invested. And because they've invested into my time, I know that whatever information I give them, they're about to take it and they're about to implement it, versus someone that's just like driving in their car or just listening to some free info. It's like, oh yeah, that's interesting. This protein in there. It's like, yeah, but are you literally about to like physically march yourself to the store and get all the stuff I told you, go home, cook it, only eat it without eating anything else you're not supposed to have, and then get up the next day and do it again? Probably not. People don't value what they don't invest into. So I will say this. Yeah, they don't. People don't. They don't. They don't value what they don't invest in. Some people invest and they still don't value it. Some people spend the money, they still don't. Yeah. Listen, I have had several clients pay thousands for fitness coaching, for body transformations, and not show up. A few. I mean, drop the whole car note. Yeah,
that's
drop
wild.
the whole, not even a car note, but a decent car purchase.
Right.
Worth
the whole
of
thing.
Yeah. And train a guy ain't cheap, okay? You're doing the math right now. But drop the whole car, at least a used car purchase worth of, funds.
And don't show up
on
That's
training.
Crazy.
And no, and it's just like now, a year later, it's one of those awkward things. I see them online, just like, hey, what's going on? You don't remember that conversation where you like spent that amount of money on the? I know. Would you, but this is what works for me. Call me crazy, but I probably like never told anyone this one, but I'm gonna tell y'all for the sake of this podcast. This is what I do. This is what works for me. Exclusive. This is what works for me. Call me crazy. I don't care. Um, I'm going to so movies is like my comfort. I find comfort
Mm,
in watching movies. The reason I find comfort in watching movies is because I know that whatever I'm watching, I know that someone had to start creating it either couple years prior, or way before, right? I know that
mm,
much. And I
mm-hmm.
know that whatever I'm watching, it took a couple years to put together. Like whole team had to write it. Cool, like we're done with this now. Let's like promote it for a year, and then like so I appreciate movies. But one of the things that inspires me as a trainer is a lot of the actors and actresses. And I'll just give you a couple examples. Like Mark Wahlberg, I think he shot this movie called the starts with a C. I forgot. So basically, he was like a gambler in this movie. So he had to like trim down. He had to slim down and have like more of this like slimmer look, right? He did a lot of gambling, drinking, whatever. But then immediately after that, he landed the role of someone that needed to play a Navy SEAL. So he had to like quickly pack on muscle. We're talking like eating 13 meals a day, sleeping, studying your parts. But it's just amazing to me to see these things when someone needs to go from this to that, right? So, what inspires me as a coach is I consistently put myself on 90-day programs. Right now, I'm on a
Mm.
90-day program. I paid my fitness coach, like, shot him over the full deposit. Like, here you go, bro. This is going to hold you to the new year. Congratulations. I'm going to be bothering the shit out of you, right? So I paid him, paid my chef. This is my goal for the new year. I'm locked in. I've already made the investment. Every 90 days, I pretend that I have some major role coming up,
Mm,
like some major role.
that's good.
Because think about it. Let's just say you're an act. Let's just say like you're an actor or something. You have a special event. Most like actors make millions of dollars for roles that they play. Essentially, they do, right? So just imagine if someone was to offer you like $1 million to get in shape in 90 days. $1 million. Like, hey, you know what, Lauren? In 90 days, if you can follow this meal plan and get in tip top shape, not only are you going to be like the hit of the party at the box office, we're also going to pay you like $1 million. I
Mm,
think most people would be inspired, like, you know what, whatever I got to do to get that $1 million check in 90 days, that's what I'm locked into.
I'm gonna be there.
That's what works for me. Yeah, I'm gonna be there. So that's what works for me because I'm gonna be honest with you. Like the wanting to lose a couple pounds, like that's only gonna last you a couple days. Like there are gonna be
Mm-hmm.
days where you're gonna wake up, it's gonna be raining outside. You're gonna be, 2 hours less on sleep that you should have had, and it's gonna be something to tell you to stay in bed. It's gonna be something telling you to skip it. Guess what? When you got a big why, it's going to increase the how. It's like, you know what, let's get to it. So that's just what keeps me
Mm-hmm.
motivated. So for anybody listening to this, I'm not saying you have to just go full circle and, pretend, but that's what works for me because getting in shape is all mental. It's all mental. Once your mental is locked in, the physical is going to follow. So, there's nothing that there's nothing my methods are secret, like no one could ever like copy my methods, cool, but there's nothing that I'm going to tell you about, the eat healthy and the protein. Listen, y'all have heard it all before. Y'all have heard it. Y'all can hop on Google and find all the plans, but guess what, until you invest, until you make an investment into the coaching, you're not going to take it serious. You're just not. So that's my best advice to y'all. If you're not ready to get a coach, you're going to have to be your own coach. But in order to be your own coach, you're going to have to find something that is so worth you making that commitment to actually get in shape. So
Oh, that's good.
hopefully, I know you're like, what? I
No,
brought you on
that's
my show and
good.
you didn't. Egg,
No,
whole eggs was in your comment. You about to get sued, buddy.
these
Where's your
folks want the
broccoli?
meal plan. They want the meal.
These folks want me and my listeners are tuned in. Like, no, like, man. Um, but that's what, even because that's one of my, that's my goals. I have goals. A lot of people look at me and just like, oh yeah, he's in shape, he's doing good in business. It's like, man, listen, y'all have no idea. I got more goals to hit. One of my major goals is to definitely train. Like, shoot, I turn all my clients to stars. You about to listen. Once I get you through this 90 days, ma'am. Let You know
Cause
I
sis
ain't
already
playing. We about
popping,
to
okay? Sis already popping.
already. That's the goal for me. That's my look. I think I told you. Like, hey, look, I'm investing my time into you.
Yeah.
So yeah, but you know what? I will say this, and it's always proven. Those that are great entrepreneurs already join my program and they do great. Because like
Yeah.
you already understand consistency. You understand consistency, routine. You've done amazing. Because I got a lot of these entrepreneurs out here walking around that have like joined the program and like completely failed, and they still telling their followers to be like, "Oh yeah, you gotta stay motivated." It's like, "Oh really, really? Okay, no,
The
like you
irony.
really show improvement so far. You're doing good."
We stand.
So
But I think that I love
yeah,
that you said like every 90 days, like you have a new film to be in or a new role to play. Cause I think the thing with grief, or I know the thing with grief is it kind of starts like right when you hit that like heavy part. It's like minute by minute, hour by hour, and then day by day. And I think what is it? Is it 28 days form a habit or 30 days form a habit or something like that? So by the time you reach that habit, like now you on to the next 90 days and you're like, oh, okay, boom, that was easy. What's the next 90 days? Like you're looking forward to something. Like I was telling I don't even
how,
know if I shared this with you
so how do you
yet, but
how do
I
you
have
feel about that?
what? What the
That
28 days
28
form a
days to form a
habit?
habit. How do you feel about that?
Um, Me personally, I don't subscribe to it, but I'm also very routine. Like once I get into a routine, if I'm thrown off of my routine, it sends me into a spiral and I have to get right back on it. So like it doesn't take me long to form a habit, but because I'm such a like organized and routine person. But I can't confidently sit here on this platform and tell you that I've done something for 28 days and that's been the habit. I can't confidently say that to you. But for other people, that may be maybe.
Mm.
What do
No,
you feel
reason
about
why
it?
I asked, when people say that, and most of the time it's like on fitness challenges when I like kind of give like a courtesy call to everyone on a challenge. People just, yeah, it takes 28 days. I'm like, does it? But because it's like think about that friend. Think about that friend or someone that's like been in a relationship with someone that's freaking horrible, and like you and everyone else knows like, yo, when are you gonna like leave this dude, right? But they
Right.
just have a habit of like they have a habit of putting up with that, right? It's like a habit. I have a habit of like this arguments, and I love this cycle of it's just so it's uncomfortable but it's
Mhm.
comfortable, right? To me like that's a habit, and sometimes it takes some people just immediately like, that's not a good fit. Others, I've seen people in my family 10 years stay in a marriage 10 years knowing that this was not working for them, right? So
Mhm.
to me some people, it just takes some people longer than others to break a habit. But as far as your routine, your habit, like, yeah, you jumped right into it. So yeah, I commend you
Yeah,
on that.
I appreciate it because I have to live my life routine, and that's probably not the best
Mhm.
way, but it works for me. Like if I'm gonna get up at
What
five,
do you
like
mean?
well, because I mean, some
Yeah, that's the
people,
best way to go.
yeah,
Who's
but
some
some
people?
people,
Let's talk about
some look at him trying to interview me. Y'all see this? You see how he trying to flip it on me?
No, I'm just like, no, yeah, like those some
Like I
look,
feel like I live
if
my
you don't have a
life.
routine,
What'd you say?
hmm if you don't have a if you don't have a routine, I don't know what you're doing with your life. I don't care who you are. If you don't have a routine, I don't know what you're doing with your life. If you're one of those people that's just like, oh, we'll see what tomorrow brings. Look, I was that guy for a minute. That is so depressing. You have to get out of that.
Yeah. I think what
Yeah.
it is some people look at it as like, oh, like you're so routine that you don't have any spontaneity. And that's not true. I have a lot of spontaneity in my life. It's just certain things I'm very routine with this fitness plan, the way that I plan my days between Mondays and Fridays on the weekend. Woo, life. But like, and I think that's the myth when it began. And that'll be a whole nother conversation. We're not even going to go there. But I think that's the myth with
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurship is that, you're like, you can just kind of do whatever and you have this time and you do. But if you don't, like, if I don't have a routine, like when I was in corporate, I knew I had to be at work between 9 and 5. So I would wake up at a certain time, do everything I need to do, and then go and work between these hours. that doesn't change just because now I'm working for myself. Now I have to wake up earlier and get things done because I do want to be able to have that free time if I want to
Yeah.
not work on Friday, if I want to be done at 3 o'clock. And sometimes I'm working till 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? Because I didn't plan my day properly. And so that's why it's important for me to have routine. And that's why it was easy to fit in this fitness plan and this meal plan and this mental like transformation because I knew that okay, if I want to really have this transformation, then you're gonna have to wake up at 5:30 and go to the gym. And you know, and even I think I told you like this past few days coming back from out of town, I've been late going to the gym, but I still went because I knew like that wasn't
Yeah.
it was a non-negotiable. Like, cool, you didn't go to gym at 5:30. Okay, well, you're going at 8 o'clock. Like it's a non-negotiable because this is a part of your routine. So your day may go a little longer, but at the end of the day,
Yep.
if this is going to be in your routine, this is what it's going to have to be. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's why I say some people assume that you don't have any like spontaneity or you don't give yourself grace. No, I give myself grace all the time because if I don't, who's going to give it to me?
No,
So,
no, it's just this is what it is. When you finally understand your purpose, when you finally understand what your purpose is, you're just going to start moving different. You're going to start moving
mm-hmm,
there. You know, Jim Rohn says that there's a lot of people that just like they're not taking advantage of their talent. They're walking around with no purpose because they're afraid to make a commitment to something. They're afraid. They just want to wake up every day and just like do what's easy. Oh, I want to enjoy life. Like they're going to miss out on something. What they don't realize is we're all going to get old. We're all going to die one day. And it's like the best way for you to live your life is for you to spend your life investing it into something. Like invest your life or you're just going to lose it. And everyone doesn't understand. I told my one of my friends that's like not an entrepreneur, and I told him like, invest your life or you're going to lose it. He's like, well, what do you mean by that? I'm like, look, bro, you're not doing anything right now. You get up every day, you go work at this job. Like, okay, you're gonna get your little, happy 20-year plaque to put on your wall. Like my granddad told me when I was serving in, me and my granddad don't have the best relationship, by the way. But
mm,
my granddad told me when I was in the Navy, he emailed me. Well, I remember being on the ship and I hadn't spoken to him. This is like right after he kind of just like I wanted to stay with him to try to get in college, which I'm kind of glad that didn't work out. But he messaged me my first deployment. It's like, hey, I see you're out there on that water, and I just wanted to, send you this message to tell you, don't end up like me.
mm,
And I was like, what do you message him like, what do you mean by that? And he was like, I don't have anything. I said, I mean, I got my retirement check, but I ain't got nothing to do now but get up every day and play games on this computer. I don't have anything. And I said, noted. Like, I watched my granddad get up every day, smoke his cigarettes on the way to this job, came home, cook dinner for us, ate, back to bed, back up tomorrow. It's just like, man, I get it. that's what that's what a lot of people are doing. They're getting up every day. They're just moving along through life. And don't get me wrong, I was in that position at one point too. But that's really what it comes down to. So for anyone that's just like opposed to having a schedule and a routine, like look, that's the key to success. Any entrepreneur, any successful CEO that's on top of their game, they have a routine. My routine is not what it used to be. My routine consistently changed. Like right now with me, when I made that investment for seven figure coaching right now, like when I made that investment, my whole routine got changed. My routine
mm-hmm,
now is not what it was a couple months ago.
mm-hmm.
So I commend you on having that routine. I bet you get aggravated when somebody's like trying to mess up your routine, huh?
Oh yeah. Oh, it sends me over the edge.
Yeah.
Sends me over the edge. I'm
Mhm.
like,
Like,
yeah,
what
you're
are we
calling me.
doing? What are we doing again?
Right.
What is
What are
what
you
is
talking about? Like, I don't try to answer the phone during like, what are we discussing? Like, yikes.
that part? That part.
Yikes.
That part. I'm out. The times I'll go, I go to restaurants and stuff. It's funny because I go to restaurants and places, people would just, women especially. Well, here in Atlanta, men too, but we'll say that for another conversation, people.
Okay.
Um, but no, like women will stare like, "Oh my god, he said so much. You're in shape," and I wish, like, listen, you don't want these problems because I go to sleep at 6 p.m. I go to sleep at 6 p.m. 6 p.m. I'm shut. 6 p.m. You cannot. I don't listen. Relationship or not, married or not, dating. Listen, when 6 p.m. hits, I don't want to hear nothing. Nada. 6 p.m. I'm listening to Eric Thomas and I'm winding down. If I haven't showered already by 6 p.m., I'm on my way to the shower with my Beats headphones in, listening to Eric Thomas. When it's time to wash my hair, I'm gonna take the headphones out for a minute, okay, and let it play on the Bose speaker. My routine is serious.
Yeah.
Shut down. Yeah, it's just like people look and they're like, "Oh my god, he's in shape. He's got his business." Like, look, you don't want these problems.
Yeah.
I'm up at 2 a.m. I'm up at 1:45 a.m. It sounds good. So routine, man. Routine is
It's
key.
important. It's important,
Routine is
baby.
key. Yep.
It's important. See, look, we just gave y'all a whole bunch of like entrepreneur game over here. They like,
Right. I mean, listen, look.
you never
People
know
ain't
what
ready
you
for
gonna
these
get.
conversations. I got booked for this men's conference, and on the flyer it's like, J.Lopez is bringing the fitness. The fitness. I'm pretty sure all the men was like, oh yeah, we're gonna learn how to get ripped. Man, please. Got up there like, what? Y'all thought we up here to no, let me get y'all together real quick.
They
Let
do.
me tell y'all what it's really about.
Switch it
right?
all the way up.
But yeah. And it's an uncomfortable. People don't understand this whole uncomfortable thing. It never stops.
Mm-hmm.
I do uncomfortable things like every week, like doing this podcast is it's uncomfortable. So for y'all that want to, if you want to heal from past trauma, get ready to be uncomfortable. You want to lose weight, get in shape, yeah, be ready to be uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it. It's just worth it. People look at you and they look, oh man, he looks like he's so happy and he's healing from his trauma and he's in shape and all his business is successful. Yeah, I get up every day, and whether the cameras are on me or not, I'm making uncomfortable decisions consistently. Investing is uncomfortable. Like investing into everybody wants to be, that whole 6-figure, 5-figure, 6-figure talk. I'm at not at the 7. I'm getting there, okay? But that whole 6-figure talk sounds good. It sounds good. It sounds so good.
You spending 5 figures of bills and expenses every month. It don't sound
you
good.
spending 5 figures in bills a month. Till you're making investments into things just like coaching. I invested a hefty amount into coaching for something I'm not even physically receiving. Nobody's physically giving me anything. I'm investing into knowledge. I'm making a commitment to like mentally take in some information and apply it. So for everyone that's listening to this, like, you want to become successful, make an uncomfortable decision. And I talk to entrepreneurs all the time. Some in that moment, they make the decision. Others, you got to think about it. You've already failed. We don't need to have any other conversation after this. Like, you're good. That's it. You still, that I can, I got to think. I'm going to let you, no, okay, cool. Failure. No. Congratulations. Stay there. You'll be right there next year. So everybody ain't ready for that conversation.
Listen, J.Lopez is gathering y'all by your throat, and see, we're gonna be here all day. I'm gonna have to bring you on for a whole nother, obviously, entrepreneurship conversation because I'll be like, where did this conversation go? So let me get to the last question, honey. Okay. Let me get to the last question because we'll be here all day talking about entrepreneurship and baby, because that's a whole nother woo. Are you gonna tell? I told y'all I can't be responsible.
You're like, give them your Instagram. They're not gonna follow you after choosing
No,
violence.
They should. You have a lot of good content. Not gonna lie, but I always like to ask people See, we ain't gonna act right. My producer's gonna be like, God, he gonna be like editing, like, Jesus, fix it. Okay. Sorry, Mike. So I always like to ask people, for anyone who's listened to this episode who may be going through the struggle with grief and what it's done to their body, or anyone who looks in the mirror and it causes the grief, going through any trauma healing, what is the biggest takeaway or takeaways you want them to have when they listen to this episode?
I will say that everybody's not ready for this conversation either, but I'm just going to say it.
That's
I said
okay.
it on stage at that event. Um, if you dare, I call it challenging the stars, challenging the gods, whatever. If you dare to, you know, open your mouth and say that you want something, like you want something to change, you want your situation to change, you want a better life, you want to attract a new partner or something like that. Like, hey, God, right now, I am going through this or I'm living a certain lifestyle and I am tired of it. I'm ready for change. If you open your mouth and say that and wholeheartedly mean it and you ask for change, whatever happens moving forward, be prepared to like move forward, like
Mm.
accept it. Because in the back of your mind, if you know in the back of our minds, we know what we're supposed to do. No matter how crazy, we know when someone new is being attracted to us. We know when the new situation or opportunities on the table. And in those moments, man, we're so afraid to take that step, take that leap. That's yours. That's what you asked for. It's just not in the form of what you yourself like wanted, right? It's not
Mm.
in this form of what you had in mind. Like, oh God, I asked for a better job, but you sent me this little part-time gig right here. Like, yeah, that part-time gig was going to lead to you meeting someone else in that shop that day who just gonna happens to own a business doing the very thing you love doing. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, got to stop looking at situations for what they are and look at them for what they could be, and be prepared to be obedient. Because when you ask for something, you ask for change, to get in shape, better finances, love, healing. When you ask for those things, understand that whatever it takes for that to happen, it's not going to be comfortable and it's not going to be what you had in mind. But making the decision to move forward means that you're being obedient. And as long as you're disobedient, you're going to continue to suffer. So
Mm.
there you go. Take that in. Somebody
Listen,
about
I
to
was
turn off
like,
the podcast.
definitely lost some listeners. I'm sorry, y'all.
Let me,
No, that was
you know
good.
what I
I
did
mean,
yesterday? Let me tell you what I did yesterday. Let me tell you what I did yesterday. So
what'd you do
my
yesterday?
coach, my coach, my bro, let's
Mhm.
7-figure coach, okay? He instructed everyone to take a vacation. He instructed everyone, take a vacation, take a trip.
Yes,
Like, that's what he
yes.
instructed, like on our last coaching call Tuesday. So when he instructed that, I'm on a call. I'm just like, bro, what? Like, bro, I
I
got
got things to
videos to
do.
shoot. I got a business. And last night, I was up updating some stuff, and something just told me. I said, you know what? You gotta do what you're told. Like, you always do what you're told, but lately here, it's been a few things you haven't been doing. You haven't been showing up 100% to everything. I had to be honest with myself, right?
Mm.
And I called my cousin. She lives in Florida. And I'm like, yo, you still got the house there? She's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. I said, book me a ticket. I'll send you the cash, whatever. She booked it. I didn't think any further. I just book it, like book it. I'll be there. I'll figure it all out. And I went to bed. I got up this morning, and like I feel so great this morning. Like I got up, I went to the gym, and leaving the gym, I just felt like my energy was on 10. And I said, there you go, bro. That's all you had to do. Just do, like, be obedient. Just be obedient. Walk in your purpose. Do everything you're supposed to do. When your coaches, your mentors, God tells you to do something, just freaking do it. We always we want we want bigger, we want better, but we just we counting and looking at what we got right now. Like, I don't know if I should,
Mm.
like, look, let that go so you can let in something bigger, bruh.
Mm.
Like, that's the biggest thing. You can't let in something major if you're holding on to minor things. The biggest thing I've learned from coaching this month. So, but that's all I got. I ain't gonna keep, look. Y'all ain't ready for this. Look, they call me trainer guy for a reason, okay?
If y'all aren't watching on
They call me
YouTube, I
trainer
need
guy.
y'all to go on YouTube and look at all his faces. Like, y'all think I'm animated? No. No. trainer God, J.Lopez, is very animated, okay?
Very.
But thank you. This is where you drop all the socials, okay? But y'all do need he does give those tips that y'all want. And he's talking about he does
Trainer
drop those
God,
on the social.
trainergod.com. Just go to trainergod.com. Just go through her to find me. Don't look. Don't be trying to tiptoe off and find me if you ain't serious.
No,
Hey,
yes, they need to
listen. Y'all
don't
better
slide in
mention
his
Lauren.
DMs
Don't mention
though.
Lauren if you ain't about that.
That's right. Don't be putting don't, if you want to say, hey, I heard you on this Two Shots Select podcast, cool. I'm with that. But don't be
Oh,
trying to
Lauren.
slide in his
Yeah,
DMs
Lauren.
saying that. Don't be trying to slide in his
Yeah.
DMs. Go to his
Yeah, unless
website and
unless you
officially
got
do
a
it.
now, if you got a Caribbean accent, I might feel like the Lord sent you. I don't know. I'm
Okay, you
checking
know what? We're gonna
credentials
cut
though,
that
okay?
part out. We're gonna
Okay,
cut that
all
part.
right, we'll save this.
But that
Yeah.
the Trainer God is everywhere. That's your Instagram and Facebook too, right?
Yeah.
Everything's Trainer God.
Website, Instagram, the Trainer God on Instagram. I am Trainer God on Twitter and trainergod.com. So yeah.
You got a Trainer God. I'll put it all in the show notes for y'all. Don't worry. I got y'all. But thank you, J.Lopez, for being here. This is so much. I know they're probably like, what is going on? But we had a wonderful time. Thank you again for just being honest and sharing your story. I feel like that this is good not only for my listeners, but it's good for me to see a different side of you, because we've known each other for a minute and seen each other in different, more professional capacities. So it's been good. So I appreciate you being on. I'm going to jump into the wrap up, but I ain't got nothing but love for you. You know what I'm saying?
Well, thank you for having me.
Y'all, that was so good. Don't you just love J.Lo? He's so funny. He is just a hoot. But I think he just had some really good points. I think he was super transparent and super honest. And I'm just excited to be working with him to really see what happens for me over these next 90 days. I think I'm on week 3 so far. And so just really, really I don't know. I'm just excited. I'm just excited to see where it goes because I know that the toll that grief has done on my body and just using the unhealthy coping mechanisms that I was using for a while and thank God for therapy and thanking God for, learning and wanting to be able to process the grief in the right way. And so yeah, I'm just excited to see where this 90 days goes, but I think he gave some really, really good gems. I'm trying to like just I don't know. Like I always kind of like to wrap it up and just give you guys a few gems. And I think the biggest one that he said is, you say you want these things and you pray for these things and you're like, God, like, I want a better job. And then, he used the analogy of like you get this part-time job and you're like, I meant that ain't what I meant. But that part-time job is gonna lead you to meeting that person who's gonna, put you into the position that you want to be, right? And so really when it just comes down to it, when it comes to, changing and processing and healing yourself from anything, is just to I think just enjoying the process, right? And it's like you said, it's not comfortable. I think healing in general is not a comfortable feeling, especially from grief, right? If you process it the right way, it's not nothing about it is comfortable because you have to not only face the loss and face the grief, but you have to face yourself. And a lot of times facing yourself is not comfortable for anybody. It's not comfortable for you, it's not comfortable for anybody involved. It's just not a comfortable process. And so really just saying, you know what, like I want to change my mindset. I want to change my body because I have allowed this grief to affect my body in this type of way. And I want to change that. And I'm really going to actually do it and take those steps to do it. Right. And so, really making the decision to do that and understanding that the process is going to be uncomfortable, I think is really, really what stuck out to me and but really what I want to drive home to you guys is that listen, grief is not cute. Grief is not comfortable. And I tell people like, yes, grief is uncomfortable, but that means, opposite of uncomfortable is comfortable, right? And so there becomes a place where, you know what, you become comfortable to be able to get up out the bed. You become comfortable to smile again. You become comfortable to laugh again. You become comfortable to move forward. Same thing with, any type of transformation that you're doing with your body. It's going to be uncomfortable. I don't like waking up at 5:30 to go to the gym. It is not anything that I'm like, woo, 5:30 gym time. No, it is not something that I enjoy doing. It is uncomfortable for me because I love my bed. I love being warm under those covers. I'm not a person who like sleeps until like 12. But if I could, like today, I think I slept until like maybe like 8:39, and I was like, "Ooh, that felt great." You know what I mean? Like I don't I don't listen, I don't play about my sleep. Okay, I don't play about my sleep. So it's uncomfortable for me to get up and do those things, but I know it's something like I said that it's what I have to do because I want this transformation. I want this. I want to change and I want to move forward in my life and feel comfortable in my body, feel healthy, not go to the doctor and hear that, oh, you have high cholesterol or you have high blood pressure, all of these things, because I allowed myself to stay in a place of comfort with the grief and get uncomfortable and say, well, you know what, you have to do these things in order to be able to change the trajectory of your life. And so, as I always say, as you're going through any type of transformation, as you're going through any type of healing, as you're deciding, hey, you know what, I think this is something I can do after listening to the conversation, as I always say, be kind to yourself and give yourself grace, because if you don't, who will? That is it, you guys. Thank you so much for listening to another week's episode of This Too Shall Suck podcast, a fresh perspective on grief. If you're not already, follow me on social media, all the socials, really just Instagram and Facebook, at This Too Shall Suck podcast. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you reached out to J.Lopez to work out with, to sign up with him and to work with him. I would listen. We can be each other's accountability partners. Definitely let me know. Send me a DM. I love responding to all your DMs. I love responding to all your messages. So please follow me on social media and reach out. Or if you have a topic, or if you're like, listen, I don't have social media, but I can email you, definitely email me at hello@this2shallsuckpodcast.com. This episode and all my episodes are produced by my amazing producer, Mike Sick, and all of the music that you hear in This Too Shall Suck podcast is produced by my amazing producer, Jimmy Samaj. Listen, as I always say to you guys, I'm sending you love and light in your life because you deserve it. I'll see you on the next episode. Mwah. All right, my loves, I hope you all enjoyed that episode. You can actually listen to This Too Shall Suck podcast, a fresh perspective on grief, on all listening platforms. And make sure, if you're not already, following me on social media on Instagram and on Facebook at This Too Shall Suck podcast. And you can hit my website as well, learn more about your girl, Lauren Denise, at www.this2shallsuckpodcast.com. If you love this episode, if it resonated with you, make sure you hit that like button. Let me know, because I know I need to make more videos like that for you. And meet me in the comments. Let's talk about it. I love talking to y'all. And make sure you definitely hit that little bell, that little subscribe button. Thank you guys as always, and I'll see you on the next episode.